Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of this replay between HayprO and Adelscott here on Scrap Station. So far a great battle. We do have HayprO currently running or will be running off of 4 bases in just a moment. The main base nearly mined out or will be mined out in just a moment. Let's go ahead get this replay started. Once again, a Nexus needs to be replaced down, and that is 100 units of time. So that will be quite some time, almost 1 real minute until those units are completed. We now have 3 Colossus or Colossi along with Stalkers and Sentries now moving out. Are those Zerglings going to be able to do any sort of swarm and try to do a little bit of a pincer attack? And now Roaches in the front, Zerglings in the back, force field causing some sort of engagement here. Those Colossus destroying their own force fields as they're trying to retreat. Roaches do not have that, do have the movement upgrade, and now able to chase down a lot of those units as they're trying to pull back. Stalkers moving a little bit more slowly than those Roaches. Roaches now have 1-1 upgrades as well. So those 1-1 upgrades making it very, very effective against those Stalkers, and evening out against the 1-1 upgrades against the Stalkers. So continuing the fight, doing a great job. We now see some probes doing some long distance mining from this Nexus over here, able to come back into position. And now Stalkers and Colossus, I do not agree with this. Adelscott really needs to try to back off a little bit, try to get a stronger army, perhaps try to hit over here on the south side. But now we are now getting Corruptors, and those Corruptors are going to counter those Colossi very well. Production wise, I do not see there is obviously no greater spire just quite yet, as there is no we are not at hive tech. Currently 3 Colossi, those Colossi 24 kills, 3 kills, 4 kills. Some of those earlier ones were taken down. More Colossus still being trained up here. Not Immortals now being created as well to try to counter some of those Roaches. Roaches just melt away compared to Immortals. Back over here, continuing to push Colossus and now making it caught out of position. Once again, more force fields. Beautifully done. Hydralisk, however, now those Corruptors able to fly past some of those units, and now Colossi down to 6 hit points, barely able to escape there. And now in come more of these Roaches and Corruptors now starting to shoot apart and take apart more of those units. Guardian shields, beautiful, or force fields beautifully placed down to stop any sort of aggression. Once again, army-wise, 4,500 versus 4,225. Gas-wise, fairly even again, as we are now sitting on a 158 versus HayprO's 194. So HayprO does have the larger army at this stage, and just food-wise. Back over here, continuing to fight even more. Those Corruptors deal a fair amount of damage to massive targets, dealing 20 damage towards massive targets. Not quite as effective as Vikings against Colossi, as now those Colossi continuing to fight back and forth, and Corruptors trying to get some quick damage, quick hits in here. Hydralisk now just swarming in over here as well, getting a lot of quick shots, and now just crazy damage being dealt across all over the place. Photon cannons maybe to join in on this fight as well, as more Zealots being worked in. However, Adelscott now taking a significant amount of damage. No Guardian shields, no force fields, however. Now Hydralisk being forced to pull back once again. We are getting the level 2 Carapace upgrades, and the Hydralisk are getting the and also the level 1 claw upgrades. However, those Corruptors maybe to shoot down that last Colossus there, down to 58 hit points. Down it goes. And now 3 Corruptors trying to take down this last Colossi or Colossus over here. Hydralisk continuing to fight back and forth. Now we are going into a mass Roach tech. Level 2 weapons upgrade as those Stalkers continuing to try to chase down those Hydralisk. Roaches now swarming in. But Adelscott with that crazy army now able to deal so much damage and finally taking down this last hatchery over here. A great job by Adel. So Adel with that aggression able to constantly produce more and more units. Zealots joining the fight constantly. More Colossi joining the fight as well. And back over here, Liquid HayprO being forced to do some long distance mining. We do have a lot of Roaches in this engagement, but Roaches against Stalkers and Colossus with Immortals is not going to work. A lot of those Roaches getting stuck in that force field as more and more Roaches continue to fight back and forth. Hydralisk not able to deal enough damage, and I think this is going to be Adelscott's game. Adelscott may be able to take this game from Liquid HayprO. HayprO, yeah, forced to say GG. So HayprO, even though he was running off of 4 bases, and unable to take down Adelscott's 3-base push. Really just a great job by Adel. Adel using a lot of warp gates, and these warp gates were positioned all across the map. So you really didn't realize how many warp gates that he had. He had 6 warp gates. Also got the Twilight Council, and for the level 2 weapons upgrade, didn't research the Zealot charge, which I kind of wish he did. However, Liquid HayprO kind of spread himself a little bit too thin trying to defend here. He was constantly forced to try to defend in this position and this position as well. I would have liked to see at least 1 or 2 Ultralisks to try to break through those force fields. Those force fields really destroyed HayprO. HayprO unable to remove those force fields and getting a lot of those roaches and Hydralisks stuck. If he had those Ultralisks, he could have just neutralized a lot of those force fields and neutralize those sentries, as those roaches and those Hydralisks would have been able to attack and retreat as freely as he wanted to. Also, not getting enough creep tumors and not having any overseers in order to take down those observers. There were 1 or 2 observers throughout the whole entire game, denying any sort of creep tumor expansion. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed Game 2 in this series between HayprO and Adelscott. Stay tuned for Game 3.